My patience fails me for desire. If thou forgettest me, my heart and all my soul can love none other after thee. Carry me with thee, body and soul, wherever thou dost fare, and where thou lightest down to rest, there let me buried be. Speak but my name above my tomb, the groaning of my bones, turning towards thy voice's sound, shall answer drearily. And she wept and recited the following: My day of bliss is that whereon thou drawest near to me, and that whereon thou turnest away my day of death and fear. What though I tremble all the night and be in dread of death, yet thine embraces are to me than safety far more dear. And again the following: Though unto me were given all that can make life sweet, though the Chosroes empire, yea, and the world were mine, all were to me in value less than a midge's wing. If that mine eyes must never look on that face of thine. When she had finished, I said to her, O my cousin, let thy mourning suffice thee, for weeping profiteth nothing. She replied, Thwart me not, or I will kill myself. So I held my peace, and let her go her way, and she ceased not to mourn and weep for the space of another year. At the end of the 3rd year, I came into the mausoleum one day, vexed at something that had crossed me and weary of this excessive affliction, and found her by the tomb under the dome, saying, O my lord, I never hear thee speak to me, no, not one word. Why dost thou not answer me, O my lord? And she recited the following verses: O tomb, have his beauties ceased? Or does thy light indeed, the sheen of the radiant countenance, no more in thee abound? O tomb, thou art neither earth nor heaven unto me. How comes it then that sun and moon at once in thee are found? When I heard this, it added wrath to my wrath, and I said, Alas, how much more of this morning? And I repeated the following parody of her verses: O tomb, has his blackness ceased? Or does thy light indeed, the sheen of the filthy countenance, no more in thee abound? O tomb, thou art neither kitchen stove nor sewer pool for me. How comes it then that mire and coal at once in thee are found? When she heard this, she sprang to her feet and said, Out on thee, thou dog! It was thou that didst thus with me, and woundedst the beloved of my heart, and hast afflicted me and wasted his youth, so that these 3 years he hath lain, neither dead nor alive. O foulest of harlots, and filthiest of whorish doxies of hired slaves, answered I, it was indeed I who did this. And I drew my sword and made at her to kill her, but she laughed and said, Avaunt, thou dog! Think'st thou that what is past can recur, or the dead come back to life? Verily, God has given into my hand him who did this to me, and against whom there was in my heart fire that might not be quenched, and insatiable rage. Then she stood up, and pronouncing some words I did not understand, said to me, Let one half of thee by my enchantments become stone, and the other half remain man. And immediately I became as thou seest me, and have remained ever since, neither sitting nor standing, and neither dead nor alive. Then she enchanted the city with all its streets and gardens, and turned it into the lake thou wottest of, and the inhabitants, who were of 4 religions, Muslims, Christians, Magians, and Jews. She changed to fish of various colors, the Muslims white, the Christians blue, the Magians red, and the Jews yellow. And the 4 islands she turned into 4 mountains encompassing the lake. Moreover, the condition to which she has reduced me does not suffice her, but every day she strips me and gives me 100 lashes with a whip, so that the blood runs down me and my shoulders are torn. Then she clothes my upper half in a shirt of hair, cloth, and over that she throws these rich robes. And he wept and repeated the following verses: Lord, I submit myself to thee and eke to fate, content, if so thou please, to suffer and to wait. My enemies oppress and torture me full sore, but paradise at last, belike, shall compensate. Though fate press hard on me, I trust in the elect, FN number 24, the accepted one of God, to be my advocate. With this the king turned to him and said, O youth, after having rid me of one trouble, thou addest another to me. But tell me, Where is thy wife, and where is the wounded slave? The slave lies in the tomb under the dome, answered the youth, and she's in the chamber over against the gate. Every day at sunrise, she comes out and repairs first to me, and strips off my clothes, and gives me 100 strokes with the whip, and I weep and cry out, but cannot stir to keep her off. When she has done torturing me, she goes down to the slave with the wine and broth on which she feeds him, and tomorrow at sunrise she will come. O youth, rejoined the king, by Allah, I will assuredly do thee a service by which I shall be remembered, and which men shall chronicle too. The end of time. Then he sat down by the youth and talked with him till nightfall, when they went to sleep. At peep of day, the king rose and put off his clothes, and drawing his sword, repaired to the mausoleum, where, after noting the paintings of the place, and the candles, and lamps, and perfumes burning there, he sought for the slave till he came upon him, and slew him with one blow of the sword, after which he took the body on his back, and threw it into a well that was in the palace. Then he returned to the dome, and wrapping himself in the black's clothes, lay down in his place, with his drawn sword by his side. After a while, the accursed enchantress came out, and, going first to her husband, stripped him, and beat him with the whip, whilst he cried out, Alas! The state I am in suffices me. Have mercy on me, O my cousin. But she replied, Didst thou show me any mercy, or spare my beloved? And beat him till she was tired, and the blood ran from his sides. Then she put the hair shirt on him, and the royal robes over it, and went down to the dome with a goblet of wine and a bowl of broth in her hands. When she came to the tomb, she fell a-weeping and wailing, and said, O my Lord, speak to me. And repeated the following verse, How long ere this rigor pass away, and thou relent? Is it not yet enough of the tears that I have spent? And she wept, and said again, O my Lord, speak to me. The king lowered his voice, and knotting his tongue, spoke after the fashion of the blacks, and said, Alec, Alec, there is no power and no virtue but in God the Most High, the Supreme. When she heard this, she screamed out for joy and swooned away, and when she revived, she said, O my Lord, can it be true, and didst thou indeed speak to me? The king made his voice small, and said, O cursed woman, thou deservest not that I should speak to thee. Why so? Asked she, and he replied, Because all day thou tormentest thy husband, and his cries disturb me. And all night long he calls upon God for help, and invokes curses on the enemy, and keeps me awake afar. On nightfall to daybreak, and disquiets me, and but for this, I had been well long ago. This is what has hindered me from answering thee. Quoth she, With thy leave, I will release him from his present condition. Do so, said the king, and rid us of his noise. I hear and obey, answered she, and going out into the palace, took a cupful of water and spoke over it certain words. Whereupon the water began to boil, and bubble as the cauldron bubbles over the fire. Then she went up to the young king and sprinkled him with it, saying, By the virtue of the words I have spoken, if thou art thus by my spells, quit this shape for thy former one. And immediately he shook and rose to his feet, rejoicing in his deliverance, and said, I testify that there is no God but God, and that Mohammed is his apostle. May God bless and preserve him. Then she said to him, Depart hence, and do not return, or I will kill thee. And she screamed out in his face. So he went out from before her, and she returned to the dome, and going down into the tomb said, O my Lord, come forth to me, that I may see thy goodly form. The king replied in a weak voice, What hast thou done? Thou hast rid me of the branch, but not of the root. O my beloved, O my little black, said she, what is the root? Out on thee, all cursed one. Answered he, Every night, at the middle hour, the people of the city whom thou by thine enchantments didst change into fish, lift up their heads from the water, and cry to God for help, and curse the enemy, and this is what hinders my recovery. So do thou go quickly and set them free, and after return, and take me by the hand and raise me up, for indeed health returns to me." When she heard this speech of the king whom she supposed to be the slave, she rejoiced and said, "O my lord, on my head and eyes be it, in the name of God." Then she went out full of joy, and ran to the lake, and taking a little of the water in her hand, spoke over it words that might not be understood, whereupon there was a great stir among the fish. And they raised their heads to the surface, and stood upright, and became men as before. Thus was the spell dissolved from the people of the city, and the lake became again a populous city, with its streets and bazaars, in which the merchants bought and sold. And every one returned to his employment.